So very sad news yesterday that Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne gave a heartbreaking interview about his Parkinson's disease diagnosis. Well, after that interview, their children, Kelly and Jack Osbourne, spoke about how they actually had spotted the signs of their dad's illness first. Yes, very difficult time for the Osbourne family. And actually, that is so often the case that a family member spots the signs early, because it can be very difficult, can't it, having a conversation with a loved one, particularly your parents, I think, because you've always had that, you know, parent-child relationship, and it's almost like that switches. And I know when my dad had Alzheimer's, we obviously didn't know it was Alzheimer's, but his behaviours were getting quite strange and difficult and unusual. I don't really like the word strange, unusual, out of character. And my sister and I started having conversations. So she'd maybe been to stay with them, and she would say to me, oh, you know, Dad's not quite right. And because my mum, I think my mum was in a denial a little bit, because she was with it all the time, with him all the time. And then I remember going down to stay, and we were going to the supermarket, the same supermarket they went to twice a week for years and years and years. And I was in the car, and his driving was awful, just odd. So he was kind of going too fast around the country lanes, but then on a bit of dual carriageway going really slowly. And then we got to a roundabout, and he just stopped, and he went, oh, where do I go? And I was like, oh, he does this journey all the time. I was like, straight over, Dad. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. And then on the way back, he went to go around the roundabout the wrong way, and I went, Dad! And you know, I could tell he was a bit embarrassed, and I didn't say anything. And I remember going to the back room in their house, phoning my sister and going, you're right, something's wrong. But then what do we do? So
what did you do? How did you broach it with him?
Talked to my mum first, and she was a little bit, oh, no, you know, Daddy's this and he's just a bit tired, and because I think she didn't want to accept it. And eventually, it was her, really. It was her we had to persuade to say, I think Dad needs to go to the doctor. I'm not sure what this is, but I think there's something wrong. And eventually, that's what happened. And even that first time with the doctor, he went in on his own. And Mum said to me afterwards, that was a mistake, because obviously everything the doctor was asking, my dad was going, no, I'm absolutely fine, because he thought he was. And it's interesting, because, you know, I'm an ambassador for the Alzheimer's Society, and we did a campaign a couple of years ago around Christmas, because they had at Christmas, post-Christmas, the phone lines, their help phone lines go crazy, because people have suddenly spent an amount of time
with their
and
family.
They see it, and they see it. So often you're on the phone, aren't you? And parents they don't like to worry you. So even my mum, in later years, I'd find things out late, you know, after the event, and she said, well, I didn't like to worry you.
But
so when you're around them
all the time, you know, you don't notice people changing if you're with them constantly.
It's like babies, isn't it? And then I had Rex and go, oh my goodness, look how he's changed.
I have a friend. I'm very sad for Ozzy Osbourne, but pleased that he's speaking out about it. A friend of mine, Mark, has Parkinson's, but I think a lot of people think it's the shaking, whereas it's not. Doesn't always manifest it as that. And when Mark, who was only in his early 50s, was diagnosed, but prior to that, his wife Leslie and I had been noticing that Mark was dragging his limbs, but of course he didn't want to admit it because he was a man in his early 50s. We didn't know it was Parkinson's, but we knew there was something. But he kept saying, oh, for goodness sake, you know, it's difficult. But I think as we get older, and you and I are, I'm a little bit older than you, with our parents, my dad, who a lot of you know if you follow it on social media, he's quite out there. He's an amazing...
He was here yesterday.
He was here yesterday, an 83-year-old. I'm shattered having had him for the weekend. But even now, if he repeats something, I'm thinking, oh my God, is that the start of something? Because I get irritable with him, and then I think it's just probably because he's 83, because I'm repeating myself. I'm constantly having...
And you're forgetting things
I'm forgetting things, and thanks, Sarah.
Well, you are today.
But I mean, I'm constantly going home to Lincoln and saying, oh, I had this great conversation with someone about... Then I think, I don't know who that was with. And I think as we get older, it's harder. You know, with my mum, she had such a high pain threshold. It was hard to get her to go and see the doctor about anything. So when she got cancer, sadly, although she lived with it for 20 years before we lost her, but it was of the soft palate, and it was going to the dentist that saw hers. If she'd had it anywhere else, I think her death would have come quicker, because I think she would have ignored it.
Do you know what I found watching that Aussie clip as well? It's like, as a child, watching your parent, you know, your parents were your leaders, the people you looked up to, and then they need to be cared for. And I feel that with like my mum now, she used to walk around the block and, you know, push Zach around, and like now she can't walk, and it's just heartbreaking. And you know, it's a very difficult thing to manage within a family, isn't it? It's like Steve's dad used to go to work and, you know, he had the car and he was the man about town, and now he's had a stroke, and it's really difficult for my husband to see his dad like that. And we're all there for them, but it's a really...
Well, that's why I married someone 15 years younger.
Yeah.
He's your carer. He's your carer.
Got it built-in care. That's a tip for you. Well, listen, you know, our love to Sharon and Ozzy and all the family, actually, because it's a very difficult time. And actually, by them talking about it means we're talking about it. You know, and that is fantastic. And lots of love to them. And if you need any advice on anything that we have just been talking about, lots of information we've put on our website, so have a look on there.